So I'm gonna show two opposites of a situation. The first situation, I'm 1 HP and enemy knows exactly where I am. So I have to aim for the headshot. That's why you see this crispy aim. My teammate gets cooked, I go immediately for the trade. I know exactly where the enemy is, crispy aim. After planting the spike, we don't really know where the enemy is. I don't want to take a 1v1, but he could be behind me. That's why I go and try to force some space. We see the guy behind, and I'm still waiting until my teammate could peek with me and trade. But he ends up dying. But did you hear the call out? Enemy is minus 55, and I'm holding a sheriff. So of course I'm gonna try to aim at his body to make this fight so much easier. And every time your team says he's 1 HP, or I tell you that he's 1 HP, aim for his body. I've seen this a million times of people still going for the headshot even though they have information that the enemy is low HP. This is a bad habit that you have to fix. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Happy and I'm an immortal high level coach. In these series I help you improve your game sense and talk about how to get an advantage on every single fight that you take. If you're tired of being stuck in the same rank, I strongly suggest joining the premium tier of my group, which will be linked down in the description. Inside, I talk about the purpose of every single role, how to learn a new skill, and most importantly, how to play your character. So if you're someone who's serious about improving in Valorant, I suggest you join. Let's get to the video. And a very similar clip to demonstrate my point. It's a 2v2, we still have to get some sight. There's 30 seconds left, I go for the flash, then I group up with my team, I end up trading him. It's a 1v1 situation, and we figure out that the last guy is from behind because he's shooting at me. I go for the plant, I know that I have time. I plant for everything, CT, elbow, and link. But did you hear the callouts? Enemy is half HP, which means that I do not want a normal dangerous fight where we just test our aim. I want an unfair advantage. I know that I still have my molly, so there's no reason for me to panic in case he starts to tap the spike. So I go for this weird movement. As soon as I spot him, I can hide behind the wall and start to spam him, basically guaranteeing a kill.
Bro was gonna wait until the smoke disappears and then, like, what?
It's a 1v4 situation, enemies have all of the space, but I'm not ready to give up just yet. It's actually super pleasant for me to fight these situations because I know that there's no need to overthink. There's no way for me to embarrass myself or lose because all I have to focus on is aiming. Also know that I should be hitting all of the headshots and pre-aiming all of the common angles. And now that it's a 2v1, they're very likely to panic and set up a crossfire. That's why I expect them to play 90 degrees from each other.
Enemy remaining.
So, if I told you that I've been bottom fragging this whole day, I've taken this exact fight that I'm about to a million times in my death matches. I know that peeking an enemy from this position is almost unwinnable for him. That gives me so much confidence. It kind of shows that deathmatch is actually useful. As you play the game more and more often, you will develop this instinct of knowing exactly what type of angle you can fight and for how long. That's why I pre-fired this, but it looks like I have crazy aim. I just know that the enemy is gonna be blinded for a couple more seconds. If I miss him here, I'm not repeating into a Chambers ult. They're making some presence A, and whenever they're late pushing A, I like to go for this weird angle plus a flash. You should always call out how many enemies you see. If we saw 3 people, my team could already go for a flank kill. After killing an enemy, I always expect to attract some attention, that's why I always flash after peeking. And for the final kill, I have the perfect crosshair on the enemy because before peeking, I'm looking at my minimap to see exactly where the enemy is standing. Proof that stinger skins give you aimbot. Oh, disgusting. Every single stinger skin has aimbot. This works with a lot of different characters, but if you can hear the enemy plant in default, you can molly him or nade him or aftershock and then punish him with another ability while he's still in the open. I always like to push in a little bit deeper, especially when we're down numbers. That's why I go for the flash here and take this 2v1 fight with my jet. Now that the enemies know about me, I only have a stinger and I don't want to fight two people, that's why I back off. And finally, we're up numbers, so there's not really too much to do. In a 2v1 situation, enemies will basically never stick to Spike. I've never had it happen in my entire life, so all I do is just pray and listen in case he makes any steps, and whenever he could actually be on, I check him. After checking, there's no reason for me to peek anymore. It wasn't halved, so once again I don't have to fight him, and now that my teammate is behind him, I decide to swing together. Here I'm expecting them to actually push in because I can hear the jet smoke, that's why I go for the molly and then peek out. After killing the jet, my position is exposed, that's why I try to take cover. Because the enemies could already be in tree, for me to rotate and walk into a spam or get peeked from tree is pretty bad, so I just wait. I hear that the orb is getting taken, so I spam a little bit, and then I flash as the smoke drops, and enemies should also expect me to not have any bullets because I was spraying. After that, a couple of flashes and we finish off the game. The way good players play defense is they wait for confirmation that someone actually walked on site, and usually you would like to drop your util to prevent anyone else from going in, but because there's no one else on spike, all of us just util dump the guy who is on site. We dropped Bubble, Seize, and Molly, and we literally util kill the Reyna clean. Enemies are executing B, so I try to delay them from taking any space by throwing a wall and a molly. I also spam a default corner. Because we're down numbers, I would be happy to take a 1v1, that's what I do with the flash. Now that we are equal, I want to play with my team again, that's why you will see me take a lot of these timings. Basically, as soon as I expect the Reyna to not look at the jet or take contact, I go for the fight. Then we go for a standard flash and then another flash where the enemy could be hiding in link. This time we got sprayed down, next time we'll get the kill. We're down numbers, and one thing you really don't want to do on Lotus C site is fight post plant when you're down numbers. That's why I wait for them to run out of bullets while spamming and just go for the flashing CT. Last round, so I go for a quick ult, get completely laid out, checking to see if they try to re-clear CT, and because I see no one CT, now I can play in a weird angle in CT. One enemy gets sprayed through the smoke, and another guy actually waits a little bit and ends up wrapping CT. I can see that my fate is moving towards CT. I'm not gonna commit on this fight, but I can try to help her by spamming through the smoke while looking at the minimap. Before retaking, I always like to throw a molly in a really uncomfortable position for them to get every last bit of advantage that I could take. And one guy ends up actually dying to it. And this close smoke that we are throwing is super nice because it lets me clear spaces one by one with my flashes. However, the smoke drops unexpectedly and I get cooked. Whenever you know how to play your character, and for a duelist it's really important to know how to execute on sites, the game is just so much easier. You can find out how to play your character correctly in my premium courses on School, link in the description. As you can see, I have every single scenario covered. As soon as I dash in and I see an enemy, I don't peek into him, I can just jump spot and stun him. You can actually do this with other characters like Neon or Raze or even Teo if you somehow decide to get into the generator position, but it's really important not to just fight try and use as much utility as possible. We are down numbers and our push has been slowed down, that's why I look to isolate some 1v1s, and the best way to do that is peek angles one by one. I peek into this angle, I swing through the guy, that's why I can just spam it. Now that my teammates took another and they're pushing into tree, we can actually just split the site. That's why I'm happy to execute here. That is bullying at its finest. As you can see, knowing how to play your character correctly can also give you the opportunity to play aggressive, but your whole aggression is calculated. Thank you everyone for watching. Comment down your favorite clip and I'm gonna respond to every single comment. Also, if you're serious about improving in Valorant, you wanna get even better game sense, join the premium tier of my group, link in the description. See you guys tomorrow.